Hi, I'm Rob Boyd, an English photographer from the UK. I decided to create this podcast series talking to international photographers whose work I truly love. I realised I knew nothing about these amazing people apart from their names and their stunning work. So I created a set of hopefully entertaining questions that finds out who they are and what they love. Hi Dennis, nice to see you. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Very excited to be here.
Perfect. So if you can start with your name and your Instagram name, that'd be amazing.
So my name is Dennis Giraudo and my Instagram handle is GiroStills.
Perfect. And have you got a website?
I do actually. Since the beginning of the year, it's Dennis Giraudo1.
Cool. I have to check that out. I didn't know you had one, so that's good.
It's fairly new. I'm still working on it, so it's basically changing every week. Yeah, it's nice to have another platform than Instagram, which I mostly use.
Yeah, and it keeps it fresh for you as well if you keep updating, so that's good.
Yeah, absolutely, and it gives you another way to look at your own photos and curate them differently because I kind of want to have my own portfolio on it as well. So yeah, it's really good. It's good to play around with.
Yeah, brilliant. Love it. So where do you live?
I live in London. I live in the west of London in Hammersmith.
Nice. The flyover, the bloody flyover.
To be honest, pretty close by, yeah.
Where are you from originally?
As you can probably hear from my accent, I'm originally from Germany. I grew up in a smallish town in the northwest of Germany, not too far away from the North Sea. It's a town called Oldenburg. Moved around quite a bit, and before I moved to the UK in 2017, I lived for quite a few years in Berlin. So that was the last place I've lived in Germany.
Yeah, I love Berlin. That's the main city that I've ever been to. I've been to a few little places, but Berlin was just so cosmopolitan. It's just got everything.
Oh yeah, it is. It's still my favorite place in Germany. You have to say, I've always wanted to live there, even as a small kid. So I was very happy that it actually, made it happen in the end before I left the country. So It was good to have that experience.
Yeah, brilliant. Lovely. So if I visited you, where would you take me to shoot?
That's a tough one because you obviously know your way around London. But I thought if you were to visit, and I would probably take you to a place, something I like to do like on a Sunday when I want something a little bit more relaxing. And then I usually go to like financial district in London or the city of London because it's so different to like during the week. You have a lot less people. You don't have like your usual business people, or the busyness of like business people running around. If it's a really nice sunny day, it's such a nice area to be around. You get all those reflections from the high rises, and it's kind of, I guess, it caters to what I like to take photos of as well, because I like reflections, I like silhouettes of people, and it's like a really nice experience over the weekend, and maybe one of the few places in central London that does feel like a Sunday, because it's just a lot quieter than, say, Piccadilly Circus. So I thought maybe that is a newish area to do for you as well, and something maybe you wouldn't think of immediately.
Yeah, good choice, especially at that time of the, on a Sunday, because it does get crazy down that area. Yeah,
absolutely.
Brilliant. Yeah, perfect choice. Excellent. Now, I obviously ask, is there any places for tourists? London has got everything on your door.
No, I was struggling with that one a little bit, but I thought, to be honest, when friends of mine come over, one place that they don't usually have on their radar is the Barbican, because I think unless you are interested in architecture and if you're not a photographer, the Barbican isn't necessarily something that you would think of first. And I think for anyone who comes to London, especially, I think they're going to start renovating the Barbican either next year or the year after. So if you have the chance to come and visit, definitely do it now. And if you're into movies or TV shows like End or Star Wars, it's a really nice place to be because they shot a lot of those scenes at the Barbican. So it's kind of nice to just, wander around and trying to find those locations where they actually shot some of the scenes.
Yeah, I think it's like Marmite, the Barbican. You either love it or you go, what the bloody hell is that?
That's true.
Yeah, I love it personally. I think it's great. It's that brutalist kind of architecture is amazing. But some people have taken there and have gone, what the hell is this place?
Really? Yeah, no, I get it. I suppose if you're not into that kind of architecture, it's so different. And I guess it can even be quite cold. But I find if you're into photography, there's so much to discover and so many, nooks and angles you can take photos of that I find really interesting. And even if not, if you have a really nice cafe and the courtyard is really, really nice to just hang out. It's like a nice oasis within London, which might be a nice change of pace as well.
Yeah, and as a photographer, when the light hits in that place, it's magical. It's just shards of light come through the place. But
yes.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really, really is.
Yeah. Perfect. Brilliant choice. So what's your favorite destination in the world? Where do you love the most?
I have to say, maybe this should come as a disclaimer. I really struggle with favorites, so I've been cheating a
Sure.
little bit with this one.
Okay.
I do like my city trips. So I've been to a couple of cities that I really, really liked, like New York. I've been to Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, a couple of cities in the north. So I kind of like doing these things. But one thing that did pop up in my mind was a trip I've done quite a long time ago. I did a road trip through the southwest of the US, kind of that cliche trip of going from Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and then up to
Mhm.
San Francisco. But I really, really loved it. And though I wasn't, it still took photos, but it wasn't like the main focus for me. But even now, going back and looking at those photos, a lot of them still hold up. And I give credit to the environment, to the nature, to the cities, which for me at that age were really different. Like it felt different to the European environment that I grew up in. So that part of the world still stands out to me.
Yeah. And there's a reason why it's a popular thing, even though it's cliched. It's everybody wants to do it
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's such an incredible, landscape, really, and it changes all the time. So yeah, no, I get that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I've had the chance to visit Antelope Canyon, for example. We did one of those guided tours through the canyon, and that is still one of my favorite memories of that trip because it's just so awe-inspiring. It's almost like a natural built church. You know, the kind of get the same feeling when you enter that space. So yeah, that's definitely is one of my favorite spaces I've been to.
Perfect. Yeah, brilliant, excellent. So where would you like to visit? Where would you like most to visit, and what's on your bucket list?
If I get to choose only one place, it's definitely Japan, which again is a cliche for a photographer, but I haven't been yet. And I would definitely like to go to Tokyo or Kyoto. A huge fan of Japanese design as well. I'm a graphic designer, so I'm really interested in these kind of things as well. Um, so yeah, as many people who haven't had the chance yet, Japan is on the top of my list as well.
Yeah, no, no, perfect. That's the thing, and I can imagine, especially with the kind of graphic stuff you create. I guess it must be inspired from that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's a different approach to design as well. And a lot of it you can carry over and translate into your photography as well, which I really enjoy.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think at the moment I'm following a lot of accounts of photographers who go to Japan, and I have to admit, every time you see those photos, you feel like, oh God, I really want to go as well. So yeah, hopefully at some point in the near future I can do it as well.
yeah, perfect, brilliant. So, if you could time travel, where and when would you visit?
I was listening to obviously a few of your episodes, and I think it was Dave Street Foxes on Instagram who chose the same city and time period as well. And it's the 1980s of New York City, which is, I think, not the most obvious choice because obviously politically, economically, and with the AIDS crisis, it doesn't scream, yes, please come and visit me. But for me, it's also the art scene that I find so interesting during that period. Warhol's factory was still around, and I would just love to be a fly on the wall, when these artists meet. I feel like unlike today, where you have all these like little islands of artists, like you have the painters on one side and photographers on the other side. In the 80s, people would come together and would discuss things and develop things, work together. Maybe I'm looking at it through rose-tinted glasses, but it feels like a very interesting period that I would love to see and
Yeah,
experience.
but if you talk to the guys like in Soho when they're sitting outside Bar Italia who've been there for years, they say no, it was
Hmm.
all artists, it was musicians, it was photographers, it was everyone. Everyone just got together and they discussed everything,
Yeah,
whether they're a
yeah.
writer or whatever. So yeah, no, I don't think you are. I think you're probably right. I think you got it,
Hmm.
hit the nail on the head. So yeah, no, good choice. Yeah, definitely. So if you could photograph anyone in history, who would you shoot?
I decided to stick with that time period and went with Keith Haring. I went to see his retrospective at the Tate Modern Liverpool a few years ago. And I've always been a huge fan of his work, but what I really like is that he wasn't just so prolific as an artist, but also as an activist. And just seeing how he worked and having the chance to um, yeah, just kind of become part of his creative process and take photos of him, which was something he actually invited. Like he invited photographers to follow him and basically document his work. So being part of that gang, maybe that's what I'm trying to do. Kind of would have liked to be part of that circle. So yeah, I would go with Keith Haring.
Yeah, brilliant. Being inclusive, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Actually
Hmm.
part and parcel of the history of it. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, love
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
So, tell me a fun fact or a story about yourself.
I don't know if it's a fun fact, but I've decided to go with that. I've been a Trekkie, a Star Trek fan, basically since I was a small child. I've literally seen every single show, every movie multiple times. And there are a lot of TV shows. It's not just one, like there's several. So I think that's I would say that's one fun fact about me. It's been definitely one of those shows that I've been watching throughout COVID. When everyone had one of these shows, you would go back to again and again because you didn't want to deal with the world, and that was kind of what got me through.
Well, now you got to choose which would be your favorite out of the universe.
I'm gonna go with The Next Generation because that was basically the one I grew up with. Like
Sure.
basically every time I got back from school, that was the show I would put on. Like you would do my homework and then put on Next Generation
Yeah.
and watch another episode.
There you go. Yeah, good choice. Excellent. It's like us Brits. We have to choose. What's your favorite James Bond? It's one of
Yeah, yeah.
one of those. So yeah, no, I totally get
I
that.
thought you might ask, so I did have a think about that.
Yeah, brilliant. Excellent. I love it. That's great. So I know it's a bit of a weird one, but what's your favorite word?
I've noticed ever since I moved to the UK that I seem to be very fond of saying bits and bobs. It always makes my colleagues giggle at work because I don't know if it's a combination with a German accent. I always tend to say, well, I've got bits and bobs to do. And I just really like it. It's
Yeah,
just a nice way of saying you've got stuff to do.
yeah. No, that's brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Bits and bobs is very English. I must admit. So, because it's an international podcast, teach me a new word or a saying I may not know.
Well, since I know that you are moving to Germany, or by the time this episode airs, you probably will have already moved to Germany,
Sure.
I thought I should teach you a German word. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not sure this is going to be super helpful, but the word is Fremdschämen. What it means, I think the closest in English is secondhand embarrassment, but the reason I like the word is because in German, the first part basically means stranger. So it really puts the emphasis on how you are vicariously feeling embarrassed for someone else you have never met, like you have no connection to this person. And I think the reason why I like this word is because I'm so good at it. It's one of the reasons why I can't watch talent shows on TV because I physically am so embarrassed sometimes if they have just no talent. And that's kind of why I like the word. And yeah, there you go.
Say it for me one more
Fremdschämen
time.
is the word. Fremdschämen.
Fremdschämen. Am I close?
Yes.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
that was really good.
Oh, good. Thank God for that. I'll practice that one, and then like I say, I'm not sure how often I use it, but it does sound a cool word. I like it. Yeah, brilliant. So, when did photography click for you? Obviously, excuse the pun, but when did you realise you could take a good photo?
I've been fascinated with photography ever since I was a child. I think my parents gave me one of those old point and shoot cameras when I was 9 or 10. I went on a school trip and I remember that it came with one of those cube flashes, the old ones that they had at the
Yeah.
end of the 80s, and you could only use it once. And I still remember the flash, the smell of it. I don't think I did I took one single good photo while I was using that camera, but it kind of started it all. But I would say it probably wasn't until uni when I went abroad for a semester and I took a photography class at that uni. And we basically got taught everything from working in a dark room, developing film, content sheets, photos. So the whole thing, and also obviously also the history of photography. And then at the very end, we would put together a group show. And just seeing your own work in the context of your fellow students wasn't so much just one particular photo, but it was just me realizing if my own work would stand up, would look okay in the context of others. And I think that was for me the moment where I realized it's not just, passively enjoying photography, but actually actively taking photos and being good at it. So that was, I think, was for me the moment where I realized this is something I should pursue and continue doing.
I'm glad you did because it's great.
Thank you so much.
Well, your stuff's so similar, in your colours and scenes, and the stuff you create it just blows me away. So yeah, I'm glad you did. Well
Thank you
done.
so much.
Oh, no problem. Not
Very
at all.
kind of you.
So, talking about photos, then, what's your favourite three, and why do you like them?
Yeah, so what I've done is I've chosen 3 photos that I have, on the one hand, very distinctive memories of taking, but also they kind of represent different styles and, kind of different approaches that I like to pursue. And the first one is a photo I took near Liverpool Station at a construction site. And what you see is this green debris netting. And it was around Christmas, so it was winter time, and the sun was very, very low. And it was shining through that netting, and you got all these like silhouettes of people walking along or through the construction site actually. And what I remember is I saw it from quite a distance. And I got so excited, and it was like one of those moments where you don't have your camera ready, and you just start running, even though you're like crossing the street, and it's like you don't have time to wait for a green light. You just have to get there because you're worried that the sun will go away. Um, it was one of those moments where I just knew I would have everything that I'm interested in, like the texture of the netting, the shadows, the light coming in, like, light from the background. And I just remember standing there for 20 minutes taking loads of photos and people just staring at me, being slightly confused because why was there this guy taking photos of construction site because I was pointing my camera at the netting. Like it made no sense at all. But yeah, it's just one of those photos then that really turned out how I had envisioned it. And yeah, so that's why I chose that one.
Yeah. And also, just to interrupt you, you have to really be quick sometimes, don't you? You lose
Yes.
the light so quickly. You just need to fly across, and you've got to get that moment. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it was winter as well, and it was quite late in the afternoon. And I was just worried that the sun would disappear behind one of those buildings. So yeah, that was just me running towards it and trying to take the photo.
Yeah, perfect.
Another one I chose is a black and white photo, and you see an usher in front of the Prince Edward Theatre in Soho. And that was one of those occasions where I already had literally an idea in my head of what I wanted to achieve. Because what I really liked about the scene was that the usher was almost like a conductor, directing the masses around him, like people who were just crossing the street or others who wanted to get into the theater. And I kind of wanted to create my own little nod to Alexei Titarenko's City of Shadows, like the series he took of St. Petersburg. I mean, obviously, I'm not comparing myself to his work, but I wanted to do my own version, my own spin of it, and so I wanted to achieve this, like, almost island of the usher who's quite still directing the masses who just blur into like one motion blur mass, basically. And so, yeah, I was quite pleased with how that turned out and actually worked the way I had envisioned it.
Yeah, brilliant.
And the last one is, funny enough, the meaning of it has changed because at the time when I took that photo of the adult video sign in Soho, I didn't realize that a couple of months later the sign would be gone. So I feel like it's kind of an interesting thing where you take photos of something that is, again, really just a cliche. Like, I don't know anyone who hasn't taken a photo of that sign here in London or in Soho. But what I tried to do at that time was trying to find a new way to take a photo of something that's, so famous. So I tried again to combine it with reflections and textures with the raindrops on the car, just trying to find a different way of taking a photo of something that's quite familiar. What I like about the photo and why it's still one of my favorites is because the focus is not that obvious. I try to focus on myself on the side view mirror of the car. That's actually the part that is in focus and not so much the sign or, the raindrops or whatever. And so it's kind of like a cheeky self-portrait in reality. And that's what I quite like about it. And it just has so much to discover. Like even I didn't quite realize it at the moment when I took the photo. Like the guy in the background staring at his phone. So I don't know, it just combines a lot of things that I find really, really interesting. And it was one of those photos where you look at the LED screen on your camera and you just hope it looks like that when you actually look at it on a big screen at home. There's so many times where you open up the photo and you go, oh, man, that didn't work out. This is not good. I was really looking forward to that. But that was one of the few shots where I thought, oh, yeah, that actually worked out.
Yeah, I get a lot of those when you look at the screen afterwards quickly, just a quick peek and think, oh, it looks amazing. And then it's out of focus.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. No,
Yeah.
they're all three different as well. Obviously, you've got the black and white, you've got the one, the artistic one, and and a nice memory at the beginning as well. So yeah, it's a good mixture. Excellent. Yeah, brilliant. So, what advice would you give a new photographer?
What advice would I give a new photographer? I thought a little bit about trying to find inspiration and how we all, we use Instagram so much, and I love it because you get to connect with all these people on a global scale, which you normally wouldn't do. But I also find, especially if you start out new, it can be quite intimidating and maybe even a little bit restricting in terms of what you see and where you draw your inspiration from. So what I've tried to do and what I could basically given as an advice is to try and find inspiration, for example, in exhibitions, not just photography, but also going to, just pick a painter maybe you've never heard of before, because it can be really, really interesting what you can find and what might inspire you. But also photo books, if you can afford them. It's just really, really nice to have something printed in your hand and not just digital where you just scroll past in 30 seconds or 10 seconds even. That I find really, really helpful. Or even just your favorite movies, rewatch them, but with a different perspective, more from a cinematography perspective. Almost like analyzing and dissecting maybe the scenes you really like. There's always something that sticks and that you subconsciously maybe reuse when you're out shooting. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think we forget about libraries as well, because obviously you can
Hmm.
go to the library for free. You don't,
Yes,
you
absolutely.
get an idea of the books you may like without obviously having to purchase them. But yeah, we've got to a digital world now. We just forget about, physical libraries to go in there with a card and take books out,
You are, s- you
Yeah.
are so right. Actually, just earlier I thought, try and not, try and mention libraries as well. But here I go, forgot it again. So,
No, no, not at all. I hadn't until you said about the books. I hadn't really thought about libraries. It just clicked in my head. It was like,
hmm
yeah, oh
yeah,
my God, we got libraries on our doorsteps and we never use them. It's criminal, really. But
it
there
is
you go.
such a good point. And honestly, as a student, that's where I spent most of my time, just looking at photography books at the library.
Yeah,
So yeah,
sure.
very good
Yeah,
point.
yeah, brilliant advice. Love it. It's great. So, what have you got next? What you got coming up?
So what I've started doing a bit more is trying to think a bit more in terms of like a conceptual approach to photography. So trying to find or pick a theme and take photos around that theme. What I've done since the beginning of the year, for example, is work on a series around the topic of entropy, a motif that I find very, very interesting. And that's like a continuous thing that I'll be working on. And I have a couple of ideas of other themes and series that I want to work on. So basically moving away a little bit more from purely observation as something that I notice while I'm out in photography, on a photo walk. What I would also like to do is explore a little bit more like different zine formats, either online or print. Maybe at one point in my life, have part of my work exhibited in one of those like group exhibitions, just finding a way to find different ways of showing your work together with other people, just outside of the online world that we usually live in and work in.
Yeah. No, no, absolutely perfect. And don't touch those settings. Don't touch those dials because everything's perfect. Just do not do not deviate from what you're doing because it's brilliant. Absolutely. And keep staying positive as well because you're one of the most positive people I know. You're
Oh,
always,
thank you so much.
oh no, you're always upbeat. You're always, well organized. I mean, maybe that's the German side. I don't know, but everything is.
Maybe it is.
But you've always got that positive attitude and you're always happy. So yeah, yeah, it's a good trait. Keep it going.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Right. Well, I'm glad we actually made it happen. We've met, which is great. And we're going to meet again, hopefully this weekend and hopefully in the London Festival and just keep it going. So yeah, appreciate you being my guest.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun. Thank you so much.
All right. You take care.
You too.